Hello Hambini fans and welcome to another episode of the Shite and Sarcasm Engineering Show. If you've had your head under a blanket and not gotten suffocated, you will probably have seen this new bike that has come out today, and my Instagram lit up like a Christmas tree and said, please can you do an aero analysis of this thing, please can you do an analysis of this thing. So I thought I would. So, the B-Wank Shitty RC does aero like a boss from Sewage Works. By Hambini, aged 5. Let's check the pen is working, because we might need to make sure it is working. Now, if you're not familiar with B-Wank Shitty, their other name is called Bianchi, and they are from Italy, that well-known suburb of Italy called Xiamen, or China. Anyway. And if you're not familiar, there's also a video about the predecessor to this bike on my channel, which I will link to below. So, before we carry on with the rifting, I thought I'd do some little high points in Italian engineering to get us in the mood. Here's some high points of Italian automotive engineering. This is the Lancia Beta, this is the magazine shot, and this is reality. They were rust buckets. This is Italian excellence in civil engineering. They obviously haven't been to the Hambini garage and seen the 12 Stabila German-made spirit levels that I have available. Yes, they missed that one. And anyway, we digress. This is the bike. Now, on the face of it, that looks like a fast bike. It almost reminds me of a Honda Civic Type R. I don't know which twats would buy that car. It looks like it's just crashed into Halfords and everything stuck to it. Anyway, this is the bike. It was released today, and to much fanfare, and the usual shills have it all over their website. This is Bike Radar. This is Bianchi's YouTube, and then it's all over this. Anyway, this is the Bike Radar website. This is the side-on shot of the bike. Overall, there's nothing really cutting edge on it. If you want to stop here now, stop. It's a disc brake bike, so you've got the pumping loss from the disc brakes. Someone has fitted it, I think, for fun with Pirelli P0 ditch finder tyres. Pirelli ditch finders are always very good. And you've got all this aero gubbins on it, and then you've got these massive hydraulic calipers. Just the hood alone, the drag generated by the hood, will be more than your gain you get from any of the aerodynamic features on the bike. It's just massive. I mean, going from the front to the back, the cockpit will come to, the pit of cocks. The interesting thing there is the stem and the handlebar is completely integrated into the bike. The front of that, it's not a hinged head tube, as it were, so it's not like time trial bikes tend to have them, but I've seen them on some road bikes of late. It has got this air deflector thing, which we will come to. The down tube is scalloped, so that is good, but I mean that gap is freaking massive. So this is probably what, 28mm tyre. That gap must be 10 or 15mm. To try and sort of passivate people, the press release just has some absolute tripe in it. So they're trying to justify generous frame clearance. Generous tyre clearance is now becoming common sight on the best aero road bikes. See the Scott Foil RC and RS5 as two good examples. Lower turbulence and tidy airflow compared to a tighter design are recognised benefits. Have you heard so much crap in your life? No, I haven't either. Not since Absolute Black tried to pass off their bearings as completely ceramic. Anyway, this is the down tube. This is the seat tube, and again you've got clearance there, but if you notice, it's much tighter than the front. The crux of this is really, from an aerodynamic point of view, people will almost universally want to close gaps off, because if you have a gap, you will generate a decent flow through the gap, and that causes turbulence. Generally, you've got pressure differentials from one side to the other, and you want to, minimize them. So gap leakage, seal leakage, is something that people strive for. So marketing it for improved aerodynamics, bollocks. If you want to market it to put your fat tyres in, then that's fine. There's nothing really else on there of mention. In here now, we've got the sort of cutting edge of this bike. This handlebar has got various features on it. I mean, it's got like these, I guess people would say they're vortex generators. It's a bit odd because when you do have a vortex generator, typically you would have a straight edge behind it. So if I was to draw, let's say, an aerofoil, you put your vortex generator there, and then typically, you spilling vortices off it to try and keep the boundary layer attached. Fair dues. Here, you've got absolutely nothing. You've got like a centimetre. Having those things is negative in terms of generating drag, because you've got another appendage for air to migrate round. So you have to work out if the loss from having the appendage is taken out by reducing your pressure drag. Looking at it, based on what I know, I'd say not. This also will double up, and I think, and they haven't really said so, because you've got effectively, this load is cantilevered, so you apply load there and there. So this top bit is in tension. So I think that is there more for structural reasons, to stop it flexing. Because corners, stress raisers. These are the air deflector units, and in the Bianchi publicity shot, so this is the Bianchi publicity shot, and they show the CFD here. If I go through here, I'm hitting the pause button. Right, so this, I mean, I don't know what to say to this. Okay, it's a publicity shot, but it just looks like utter bollocks. It just looks like utter bollocks. Why would you put it there? Let me go back. So what I've done is, this is the deflector unit, and I've taken a cut through the bike, through the head tube, and this is what you can see here. This isn't a perfect example because it's PowerPoint. Normally, airflow comes along here and then through, let's call it the deflector gap, and then away, which is this bit. Air still has to come round here and over. There will be a velocity mismatch between this and this. So you're going to have, probably on the corner of that, a load of drag, load of turbulence generated. Normally, these air deflector things, it's a bit like your vortex generators. You got the profile of the object, and then typically, because the aim is to keep the air connected, let's say, to the surface, you'd have a straight edge that goes on forever, and then air will come through there and then stick because you've energized the boundary layer. This is a bit of a weird one because it just stops. You've got nothing. You've got this massive vacuum of nothingness. So you haven't got a solid boundary, and therefore where's the air going to go? Now, I did bounce this off a few of my colleagues, and they weren't sure either. At best, this is going to have a very small window to work in. At worst, I think it's just there to sell bikes. The thing that this diagram doesn't depict is, because you've got your Pirelli ditch finders generating a load of drag, because they're going that way, you generate all sorts of nasty, messy air. The airflow coming in is probably going to be doing that. Yeah. So it's not ideal. If anything, it's going to try and straighten the stuff that goes through the air deflector and the stuff around it, because you've actually made it, it's not an aerodynamic shape. If you look at it, it's quite boxy. You'll just generate more drag. This is another scenario where you've got air coming in and you've got a bit of an angle of attack. Now normally this is called slat theory or slot theory in aircraft wings, and slots and the slats you would typically use to increase your lift coefficient at low speeds and high angles of attack. So when you're coming in to land or to take off. In this example, and that's to do with keeping the air attached. In this example, the slat on an aircraft is only on one side of the aerofoil. You've got slats or slots or air deflectors on both sides. So you've got an accelerated flow through there. On here, on this side, well, you're going to end up with a ram pressure increase there, and then an adverse angle of dangle that comes along here. There'll be a mismatch in velocities here, and it'll just billow coming off there. So that's what I think. Now, in this picture, it's not clear where this finishes. I mean, it might finish here, but the theory remains the same. You're putting that in to keep the flow attached. It's just doing nothing. Now, there was some stuff in their press release about low pressure vortices shedding off to improve it round your legs and stuff like that. I just can't see that happening, because your legs are like what, 175, 200 mils wide. This is going to be what, 40, 50 mil, 60 mil wide. It's not even close. So I just cannot see it doing it of any benefit. These are the wheels. Now, if anything, the biggest gain you get from these modern bikes is actually the wheel depth. They've started going to much deeper wheels. So I think that's where the gain is, and also the carbon spokes. And looking at it, they look like they're quite fat bladed spokes, and I think they are carbon. Not sure. The other thing in the press release said they were using SKF ceramic bearings. So in theory, they should be good. We'll see. This is the maths, so I've probably done it wrong. Now, the wording in their press release that seems to be quoted verbatim on every website I've seen is, they've said 250 watts, over 40 Ks, and you would save 45 seconds. If you sort of back did the numbers on that, and let's say they were doing 40 kilometers per hour, that 40 Ks would take 1 hour. 250 watts times 1 hour, which is 3,600 seconds, gives you 900 times 10 to the 3 watt seconds, which I believe is joules. But if you are a scientist or someone at school who knows how to do all that, then do chime in, because I might have got it wrong. And then if you take that, basically the sum of the energy, and divide it by your time saving, so 3,600 minus 45 gives you 253.2 watts. So your saving is 3.2 watts. I've actually done that backwards. Some people might say you need to add the 45 on here, but in reality the number's not going to be too different from that. It might be 3.1, might be 3.3, but it's of that ilk. And then if you carry on that formula, and let's say it takes an hour and a half to do your 40 Ks, average speed there I think is 26.6, which I've rounded up to 27 because I'm an engineer. I'm 5 years old, no less. That gives you a total power of 252.1 watts, so your saving is 2.1 watts. So best case, the bike is 1.2% faster. The error, and this is another best case because they haven't provided it, I think it's 2.5%, so it's well within the error margin. But to give you some context of the alleged saving, if you go and wrap your handlebar tape and put 2 extra ribbons in the wrong place, you'd probably save that. If you changed your STI levers from the SRAM ones to probably the Shimano ones because they're a bit smaller, that would probably save you the same, probably more than that. And then if you were to change your clothing to tight clothing, or you moved your head, you'd easily annihilate the saving from the bike. So that gives you some context as to what it is. Now this is a hyper bike, and it's retails at 14k, something like that, 15,000 euros, whatever it is. That's what people are going to buy these days. And that is it. If you did enjoy this presentation, remember to smash that like button, and also hit me up on Patreon. And if you didn't, go shaft yourself. And as always, keep banging your hairdresser.